For the record, this is Ziggy. I'm sure you'll want to include that in the minutes.
Is that Ziggy Miller?
Yeah, well, Ziggy Bobblehead Miller, yes.
All right.
Paul,
Oh,
Yes.
here's Ziggy's sister.
Oh, good Lord, looks a lot like.
oh, they
Yeah.
do. And what is Ms. Kat Metzger's name?
Ziggy's girlfriend's name is Lily.
Lily Metzger.
Yes.
Ziggy's actually a girl too.
Oh, well.
Could still be a girlfriend.
Oh,
so
they're girlfriends. They're friends.
There you go.
All right. Well, it is 4 o'clock. And I think that we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Sarah, do you want to do a call of the roll?
Yes, so it does look like we have a quorum.
Oh,
We
yes,
still
but
have-
I forget that you and I talked, and I think we'll do introductions.
Yeah, looks like we're still getting some folks
I'm sure we are.
joining
Just
us.
check your headset.
Oh, am I out again?
Am I back?
Much better.
Yeah. Kicks me out in between calls.
Could folks, if you're not coming up with your name, could you go to the participant tab on the bottom and then go to more once on your name and change it? I see a phone number, that's 7805. That might be Aaron. Is that yours? Okay, so you don't have to worry about that. Who is BRIC one?
Sarah, I take it you got me, right?
Yep, you come up on your name, you bet.
I don't know who BRIC one is.
All right, I guess we'll find out soon here.
All right.
We do have a quorum, Chris, so feel free to get started. I can do introductions or we can have people just go around.
Yeah, let's do that. I was hoping that in light of it being a brand new year, and also in light of us having some newer participants, that maybe you would take a moment to not only introduce yourself, but also if you would share what's your what is an accomplishment of your organization that you're proud of from 2020. And not necessarily, you can't tell me that you survived COVID, because we've all survived COVID thus far. So something that's a little bit more joyous than surviving COVID for your organization. So Sarah, do you want to start?
Well, thanks for that hot potato. I was going to say, you know, I think surviving COVID is definitely a goal, but I think one of the things that I'm most proud of, and this is collaborative, and I think it speaks to the CJCC, is that we were able to really transition our court programs to virtual without a delay. I think that is just a testament to the courthouse staff that we have, everybody's willingness to embrace this technology that we had known nothing about and move forward. So I think that not only for my staff, but I think for a lot of the folks we work with, I think that was a huge accomplishment that I didn't anticipate in the year, but very proud of.
All right. Josie, can I call on you?
I can never get my mouse to get to where I need it to unmute. Okay, I'm Josie the Liberty. I'm the Child Support Director. I've been on board here at Dunn County since middle of August. So I only have a very short window of 2020 with which I can be proud, but In early October, we started accepting credit cards as a means for payment as opposed to wage garnishment or people mailing, a money order or a check to our trust fund. So I just checked, and from October 5th through today, we've accepted over just over $19,000 in credit card payments. So
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, Katie.
Thanks, Chris. My name's Katie Shelley. I'm the clerk of court in Dunn County. I would echo what Sarah had said as far as the courts running with Zoom and electronic means in 2020. I guess another big accomplishment is we also have now our other courtrooms all configured with video conferencing means that started in 2020 and we're just wrapping up now. So that had been a big goal for us in the court system for many years, and our dream has finally came true.
Judge Smeltzer.
Yes, good afternoon. Well, the big decision or accomplishment that we probably made is I consulted with everybody and to determine my exit, and I guess it was unanimous. So I will be leaving you.
On July
31st.
31st. All right. After 26 years, is it?
24 years on the bench and over 8 years in the DA's office.
All right. Congratulations on that decision. It's a big
Yeah,
one.
thank you. That was a tough one. I love working with you guys, you folks, and it's been fun. I think we've accomplished a lot over the years, and it certainly has been a collaborative effort. But I think we can be proud of what we've done, and I got a lot of advice to give going forward because I'm giving you guys a Cadillac. But hey, we'll see where you take it.
All right, Andrea.
Hi, I'm Andrea Nodoff. I'm the district attorney. 2020 had a fair amount of personnel changes in my office. So we added 2 attorneys to assistant district attorney positions. And so just got them on board. And then we had the retirement of our victim witness coordinator. And so we kind of have a whole new victim witness program, or staff. And we also have a deferred prosecution coordinator too. So I think they've joined us. Brad Erickson's our new deferred prosecution coordinator, and then Jamie Kraus is our new victim witness coordinator.
Oh, cool. Well, with that, then I don't imagine that necessarily Jamie and Brad will have much to share by way of accomplishments since they're relatively new. But Brad, would you introduce yourself?
Brad informed me he doesn't have a microphone. I did tell him he can call in and use that as.
All right. Well, Brad has a long career with the Department of Corrections, and so I'm sure that this was an interesting change to be made. And Jamie, where did we lose her? Maybe we lost her. I don't see her at the moment. Paul.
Hello, I'm Paul Miller. I'm the county manager. 2020 was interesting for all of us. I guess one thing that I think we did well was communicate with the entire Dunn County government group the status for COVID across the weeks and months we've been dealing with this pandemic. I feel like we've kept people pretty well informed, not only with the status of the virus spread in the county, but with the county's response across the system. So I think we can be proud of that communication and try to keep it up.
Great. Jim Tripp.
Thank you. Jim Tripp, I'm a Dunn County Supervisor and Chair of the Judiciary and Law Committee. One of the things that I've always been proud of, and it continues this year, and it offers a little bit of a challenge too with Zoom, but it's the ability of 29 individual board members to work together for the good of the citizens of Dunn County. And in spite of the fact that we come from all parts of the political spectrum, I think when we do disagree, to use the words of Hubert Humphrey, we can do that without being disagreeable. And as a matter of fact, when people have good ideas, other people are willing to listen to them and in some cases change their mind. So it's always been a source of pride to me to work with this group of supervisors. With Zoom, we've got how many this year? 6, 7 new board members that I have not met personally.
Wow.
So I'm looking forward to the day when I can get together with those folks and we can continue moving forward. Thank you.
Shelley Jo.
Evening, everyone. I'm Shelley Jo Metzger. I actually sit on the CJCC as a person who is a survivor of and lived experience of AODA and mental health issues. Otherwise, I work at Arbor Place as a prevention specialist. I would say probably for me, having been a person who was in person with a lived experience, I would say the transition from in-person meetings to virtual meetings was huge for me. I think I've talked about it once before this meeting. I do miss the hugs. That's probably the biggest thing I miss about our meetings. So I'm gonna leave it with that personal experience.
Aaron. Oh, you are muted.
I was saying I was hoping I could get my audio to work better this time than at the start of the meeting. So we'll just shut the phone off and hope that we don't have the lags that I've been experiencing with Zoom all day long. So my name is Aaron Cernahouse. I'm the new corrections field supervisor for the Dunn County office. Previously, I was supervising Jackson and Clark counties and an agent over in Chippewa for about 7 years prior to that. Department of Corrections or Division of Community Corrections, I think there's been an ungodly number of accomplishments considering the environment of 2020. I think one of the biggest ones here with the need that we have to move forward with technology, seeing how quickly the Department of Corrections has responded to ensure that we could get all the agents working remotely and get technology in place that was reliable for everybody and working smoothly. And then transitioning also to an electronic case file platform where the agents are going to be able to access all that stuff remotely as well, really sets the stage for what the future of our division and flexibility for our staff is probably going to look like for years to come. So
nice. Sheriff.
Sure, you caught me just as I was about
I
to take a drink.
know. I realized that when I looked up. Sorry.
That's all right. Sheriff Kevin Big Deer in Dunn County. I guess I'm probably most proud of my team and the adaptability to work around the COVID issues that we've been encountered with over the last year. My jail staff in particular has had a battle of trying to keep, on a daily average of 75 inmates healthy and that's been a challenge. So I'm very proud of the work my entire staff has done.
Nice. Jamie. Nope, you're not. Heard you say I'm Jamie, and I think you are Jamie, but you're muted.
You don't have your audio set up? If you click the microphone in the bottom left-hand corner where it says mute, join with, or else you can call in as well using the phone number.
Do you know sign language?
All right. Well, we'll
I'm
let her
always trying
figure.
to encourage semaphore.
What is that?
The flags.
Oh, yep, got it. All right. Jason.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Jason Spetz, Chief of Police over at UW Stout. And I guess for 2020, I'm pretty proud of the fact that we've, especially for a small department where we can't afford to lose too many people. We've managed to stay healthy all the way through, and we've taken the opportunity to adjust to some new staffing changes successfully so far, and use the slower time to make some general improvements around the department as far as training and some policy updates and procedural updates, and really maybe I guess for short, clean up the back burner a little bit and get things squared away. So that's what we've been up to, and hopefully we're getting to the end of this COVID thing and back to regular business.
Amen to that. Eric.
Yeah, I'm proud of really two things. One, it's not 2020 anymore, so I'm pretty excited about that. And then really, in all reality, I'm most proud of the collaborative relationships we've had with all the folks here in the community, those included here on this Zoom meeting, as well as others that are not here. I think it just goes to show what a high quality community we have here in Menominee and then in the greater Dunn County area. So I'm very proud of the efforts of everybody involved. Thank you.
And Brad, did you join us by phone? Or who is 232-6832? Secret mystery person. All right. Well, my name is, obviously I should have said this first. My name is Chris Corporal. I'm the Director of the Dunn County Department of Human Services and taking over from Judge Peterson as the chair of the CJCC for this next couple of years. And I think I have two accomplishments. One would echo, or two things I'm proud of here. One, I would echo what you've said. I am so amazed at how quickly we could redeploy the way that we did our work and still continue to meet the needs of the people that we serve at least in some capacity, and often in at least as good of, if not a better capacity than we previously did, given that we serve a lot of people who have a number of challenges in accessing services, be it transportation, childcare, job-related restrictions or responsibilities. And so some of the virtual world has really actually worked out far in their favor. So that's been pretty cool. And the other accomplishment, though, that I think speaks to what Eric said was just with the collaborative nature. Paul and I have been participating in a Friday morning meeting with a number of community partners, education, medical, schools, or I guess they are education, the county, the city, and some business partners. It named the Dunn County Community Recovery Team, came together initially to talk about what would happen when life looked like, what life would look like, what would happen when what life would look like when we reopened. It kind of business and after the lockdown early in the year. But that group has continued to meet on a weekly basis, and it's really interesting to me because many of those people too, as Jim said, I've never met in person, but we have I think established a really nice collaborative environment, have put out some messaging, have talked some things about some, many different things. And there's actually some interest in that group in continuing past COVID. So in spite of having been in the community for many years, it's been really nice to be a part of a little bit bigger picture and have some of those people at the same table talking about some of the shared challenges we face. So did I miss anybody? I don't.
Chris, that's just 6832 that's Jamie. She's having a hard time being able to talk, but she can hear everything that's going on. So
all right.
On this before the next meeting.
Fair enough. All right. Next item on the agenda is approval of the meeting minutes from November 12th of 2020. I would entertain a motion to approve those minutes.
So moved.
Okay.
Paul was a motion and Kevin was a second, or Jim? I'm sorry. Either?
Yeah, either.
Kevin. Okay. And any discussion about those? Otherwise, all those in favor of approving those minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, next is comments of the chair. I will keep this short. Sarah asked if I wanted to say anything, and all that I really want to say is this will be the 13th anniversary of the CJCC. I was established in 2008. It's obviously undergone a lot of evolutionary changes over the ensuing 13 years, and we have accomplished a lot. And I think sometimes it's helpful to look back in retrospect at all of the things that we've done, and I'm not going to do that today. But I think one of the biggest accomplishments, and it kind of speaks to what some of you have said, one of the biggest accomplishments that's really we emphasize over and over again is we've laid a really solid groundwork that when opportunities arise for funding or grants or things like that, we can pull together really quickly. And Katie mentioned some of the outfitting of the courtrooms. Some of that was grant funding, I believe, correct, Sarah? And Katie, correct, was grant funding that was able to be accessed in very short order because we were ready to move. Eric and Chief Atkinson, Sarah, and I worked together on a CDBG grant for transitional and emergency shelter housing. We were able to do that in very short period of time because not only did we have previous grants to steal information off of, but we have a close and collaborative working relationship and could pull that off quickly. There are just numerous examples of that over time, and I really think it will go down as one of the greatest accomplishments of the CJCC over time is how quickly we're able to be responsive to opportunities that come our way. All of the CJCC members we looked at are involved in some of the work groups in some capacity. Oops, I'm now suddenly in the dark. And that is obviously in our organization where a bulk of the work of the CJCC actually occurs. And so one of my commitments as a chair, and not that this hasn't happened with previous chairs, but it's probably my main commitment, is I don't like meeting for the sake of meeting. I don't know that anyone does, but I want to make sure that these meetings are relevant and that you come away maybe a little bit wiser than when you walked in the room. So I'd like to make a suggestion for 2021 to try out spending a small amount of time, perhaps 20 minutes to a half an hour of our meetings to attempt to address some educational topic. Now, some of those things are obviously going to be more relevant to some people than to other people, but as Sarah and I was discussing this, I gave the example of, I know that there's been a lot of discussion about bail and bond and the kind of the fairness of those things, and there's a lot of evidence-based research around them. There's a lot of publications, a lot of writing about them. Yet I know very little about that. And so I'm hoping that we would be able to draw on the expertise in this room and or bring in someone from the outside. Yesterday at our Family Treatment Court and Adult Treatment Court Advisory Committee meeting, we had a doctor from the medication assisted treatment, the what is the word?
Methadone.
Methanol, the methanol plant. She came to talk to us. No, the methadone clinic in Eau Claire came to talk to us about medication assisted treatment. I believe she was probably with us 20 minutes, and yet I think everyone took away a good amount of information from that. So I just wanted to kind of do a litmus test with this group to see if that's something that you would be interested in, and if you have any suggestions about a spot that you'd like to start in terms of learning something more. Otherwise, I will work with Sarah to pull something off. But if you have some area of interest that you'd like us to focus on for the next meeting, does anything come to mind immediately?
If there's anyone here who might be a local expert on the neuroscience of addiction, that I think would be very interesting and something we could share with our staff too as well that may not have had that kind of experience or training.
Okay. Other suggestions or ideas? Does it make sense that we spend a little bit of time as a group in some shared learning activities? Thumbs up, thumbs down, don't feel pressure to do either. Well, do one or the other, but don't be pressured to have to say that you agree with that idea. All right. Well, we will work together on, Sarah and I will work together on pulling together some ideas. If you happen to come across something and you see, and it piques your interest and you'd like to know a little bit more about it as it relates to the criminal justice system, then, and obviously that's a pretty broad scope, actually our judicial system in general is a pretty broad scope as it goes all the way from child welfare through child support, through the criminal justice system, but all the other things related to like guardianships and municipal courts and traffic and all of those sorts of things. So if you have a topic that piques your interest and you'd like us to dig down to or you would like to spend some time in one of our meetings being the subject matter expert, we would welcome your input. And I think that's all I have for that. So the next item of business is the staff report. Sarah?
All right, thanks, Chris. Well, first I'd like to welcome our new members and those members that agreed to continue on with us in 2021. We've had some position changes with retirements and folks moving on. So thank you, Chris, for allowing some time for introductions. We've got a new victim witness coordinator. We've got a new deferred prosecution coordinator. We have a new DOC field supervisor. Who else? We got Josie La Liberty, although she came to us last year. I don't know if we formally kind of acknowledged you and hopefully we did. But we also have the continuing citizen members of Shelley Jo Metzger and Carrie Ackland, Professor Ackland from UW Stout, carrying on with us this year. And then we had, of course, Chris as vice chair of our CJCC is now our chair, and we have Andrea Nodoff as our new vice chair. So we've had a lot of leadership changes this past year. I'm not sure where Judge Peterson is. Maybe he has taken a break from us now that it's a new year, but I assume he's tied up with some important business today. But I appreciate his leadership and his the time and effort he put into the CJCC. I know it's important to him that we continue to have a strong collaborative council. So just want to thank everybody for their time. Let's see, in the packet, just want to reference a couple of different things. The bylaws were included in the packet. We also have the membership list for 2021. So if there's any updates or changes that need to be made to your email or contact or how you'd like to be your title or anything, just send me an email and we'll get that updated and sent back out. Barring some actions that we have in our meeting today, I will adjust the work group descriptions and the chairs on that second page of the membership and work group information. Then I guess I would also at this point just want to encourage everybody, if you can participate in a work group, we would love to have you active in work groups. You can also delegate to your staff to get engaged in the work groups. But a lot of the work is done in the work groups led by folks here on the council and but under the purview of the executive committee. And a lot of times these quarterly meetings are more of kind of updating on some of the activities that have gone on in the work groups. So just to encourage everybody to find a home. If you'd like to spend some time with me to talk about the different options and where you might fit best, I'd be happy to do that. But we just want to get everybody rolling up their sleeves and getting busy with some work of our CJCC. Second area, just want to give a grant update, and I'm going to share my screen. I've got one slide to talk about our grants here. So as Chris mentioned, one of our major accomplishments is really our ability to act quickly and to secure funding. And that is what we were able to do again this year. So I just wanted to highlight some of the grants that we have. So we have the State Department of Justice TAD grant, the Treatment Alternatives and Diversion. That grant we're going into the fifth and final year in 2021. So we've already have that secured, that funding, and it'll become competitive in 2022. We anticipate this funding continuing for the foreseeable future, if not increasing in overall amount. The Jail to Community Reentry project, we are in the fourth and final year of that funding stream that supports our peer support specialist and some of the activities in our jail as far as programming. So that is going to be sunsetting here at the end of the year. We also have one of our newer grants is the Department of Justice Coronavirus Emergency Supplemental Funding. So that is what we were able to quickly pull together a plan, and we received the funding for $58,000 towards our courtroom upgrade. So as Katie mentioned, that project's just wrapping up right now. I was contacted, and we did have a planning meeting at the end of the year about the second round of funding that's coming out. DOJ is not sure how much funding, but it sounds like it could be a sizable amount. Because we were in the first round, we're automatically in the second round. Counties that did not get in the first round do not get in the second round. So again, I think that really speaks to why it's important to get some of this funding if you want more funding down the road. We had talked about for the second round, and we'll have another planning meeting once it becomes available, but some of the needs of the Judicial Center with a filtration system and the jail, the filtration system. We talked about some of these UV sanitizers for different rooms, for the courthouse, for the jail, and then also some portable ones for law enforcement that are out on the street. So all of those we were told were allowable expenses, and DOJ wants to help us fund some of those. So more to come on that second round once we know more, but that will be for 2021. And then it might be hard to see. Maybe I'll just adjust my, I don't know if you guys can see this family treatment court part. I don't know what you see really.
We can see the top part of it, Sarah.
Okay.
Just the first couple lines.
And that's fine. Essentially that that funding does go through 2022, and we were notified there could be some additional funding beyond that. So right now we're in beginning the third year of our family treatment court. So that program really is still in its toddler phase, so to speak. Not quite a baby, but still has a lot of growing and maturing to do. So that's the grant update and the staff report. I'm going to stop the share and turn it back over to Chris. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to address.
All right, so our next order of business is actually on the agenda is the status of the 2020 CJCC goals, but we're going to actually move that as down to 7D and combine it with the approval of the 2021 council and work group goals, so that kind of all flows well together. So that moves us on to consideration of actions to be taken by the council. And the first would be the confirmation of the slate of nominees. Brenna Jasper as the chair of the communications work group, Katie Shelley as the chair of the data work group, Andrea Nodolf as the chair of the drug endangered children work group, Jim Tripp as the chair of the evidence-based decision-making work group, and me as the chair of the Stepping Up work group. And I think we could probably do those all in one fell swoop, would you say? Somebody
I would move for a unanimous ballot on all 5 positions.
All right. A second?
Second that.
All right. Was that Kevin or Eric?
Simultaneously.
Simultaneous. All right. Well, let's go with Eric this time. It'll prove he was at the meeting. Any discussion about those nominations? Otherwise, all those in favor of confirming that unanimous ballot signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you to all of you who are willing to take on those leadership roles and keep moving us forward. So 7B and C were actually a recommendation to combine the Family Treatment Court Planning and Oversight Work Group and the Adult Treatment Court Advisory Group. And we realized after the agenda went out that we have some background work to do with that. Those that recommendation probably won't change, but it needs to go back through the our executive CJCC executive committee to develop a mission and do a chair recommendation to this group. And so we will plan on bringing that back in April. And then we would be on to approval of the 2021 council and work group goals and combined with the status of where we left off 2020.
All right. I'm going to share my screen again. And please let me know if things are difficult to see or if I'm going through it too quickly. So I see. Let's see. Share screen. Here we go. Okay, so want to take some time to talk about 2020, and as we're on the cusp here or beginning 2021, I'm just going to change the layout so folks can see it a little bit better. So as some of you may recall, at the beginning of 2020, the council really went through the work group goals. Typically, we do goals at the beginning of each year. We had really disjointed goals. I shouldn't say disjointed goals. They were just kind of broad brush goals. But we did some work in 2020 to really kind of brush up the goals and really the purpose of the CJCC. So these, the overarching goal is really that we improve community safety, that we reduce recidivism, that we reduce those systemic costs, and that we that the harm and loss associated with crime to our community, whether it's individuals and families, is reduced. And the objectives or ways that we accomplish those are through evidence-based decision making to really look for areas of improvement and to work on those. We want to maximize our use of evidence-based practices across the system. Those are what is proven to be effective to get us better outcomes. We want to operate collaboratively, and we want to continually learn and improve our system based on our local data. And then, of course, we want to enhance our community and stakeholder knowledge overall. So those are kind of the goals and the objectives of the CJCC. But a large part of that really comes through the work groups. So as far as the work groups, we were able to really identify specific goals for 2020 that we wanted the work groups to work on. This was done back in January, and then come April, we had a pandemic and things changed. So some of the goals maybe weren't accomplished in the way we expected it to be accomplished, but by and large, most of the work group goals were in fact carried out, and even furthered some of our overall objectives as far as how we can really educate and communicate in different ways. We've got our communications work group that's led by Brenna Jasper. She's with Menominee Police Department, the crime specialist. So we did complete a community forum. We were anticipating that to be both in person and virtual, but because of COVID, it was a purely virtual endeavor. But we were able to accomplish that. That was an OWI forum back in November that had really good reach, I guess is what the terminology that they use with Facebook. We were also able to update that master playbook. That's our kind of that chronicle of all the things that we've done over the year. So that's, you know, interesting to hear 13 years that we've been doing this, and we've certainly accomplished a lot. So that, you know, those are goals that we want to continue with as well. Communications work group also does coordinated public relations messaging. So that's just where we're collaborating on our social media and different points that we want to highlight or communicate to the general public. And that's been effective. And it's not just the CJCC, but it's also partner agencies and different activities and events that they're working on. And then, you know, ultimately it's communications work group is charged with that communication piece. So we wanted to explore tools to continue to inform and engage our stakeholders. You know, so that's the folks that are here in this virtual room, but it's also the county board, the city council, our taxpayers, the residents of Dunn County. Those are all folks that really are ultimately our stakeholders as well. So communications work group was able to accomplish all those goals, and we're recommending that we carry those goals forward to 2021 and really continue to do those activities in 2021. Moving on to data work groups led by Katie Shalley with Clerk of Courts. We have also been able to accomplish all of these goals this year. This group really is the data keepers of our council. So if you like data, if it energizes you, this is the work group for you. But we're able to produce our monthly data dashboards, and that goes into the annual Smashboard that we do. And then we also update that our criminal justice data to the CJCC, and we were able to do that last year. We also developed and reported on the recidivism study to the CJCC at our last meeting in November. That's something that we want to do every year, really update our programs, recidivism measures, so we can have a good read on if we're making a difference with some of these programs. We also, part of kind of looking at the data, paying attention to trends, we want to identify those potential change targets and really communicate that with the other work groups or the council for potential areas for improvement. So that's just an ongoing goal activity of that group as well. And then just to support other topics, other areas of interest that come up through our work groups. So, you know, this is where the OWI data was so compelling that it really it supported us having an OWI forum to communicate some of those, why we see so many OWIs and some of the trends that we see. So that's just another example of how the different work groups can collaborate collaborate and support each other in the different goals. But we are, I'm happy that Katie was agreeable to continue on as chair. I think she's done a fine job. And we really want to continue these goals moving to 2021. All right. I'm going to move right along to our DEC work group. We did have, for part of the year, Sharice Nielsen was the chair of that work group. She was a retired DOC supervisor, really a national DEC trainer. So we were able to continue to tap into her expertise for part of the year. But as she was wanting to move on to different things, Andrea Nodoff, our DA, was willing to take up leadership of that group. So this group also accomplished these goals, some in full and some in part. As far as really the education to the school districts, it's only Colfax that we were not able to get into in person in 2021. Or 2020, excuse me. And we did begin to do some medical provider training with Prevea, but that was halted by COVID as well. Just the current events really prevented us from making that a priority of that group. Community DEC awareness training, that's another one that we weren't able to really develop it as we anticipated, because we really anticipated having sessions with people in rooms, and that was not able to happen in 2020. The group, largely with our human service partners, but law enforcement partners, were able to develop that Handle with Care program and get it up and running. And I've heard it come back to me in other work groups or other groups, other kind of community groups, that the Handle with Care program and how that is making a difference. So definitely an accomplishment. That's kind of an evidence-based practice or a best practice that we learned from other places. We were able to learn more about it, and then our human services and our law enforcement folks were able to take the ball and run with it and get it set up. We also created a DEC webpage with local resources. You know, all of our virtual presence online has been even more important with COVID. So previously we did not have a DEC webpage, so now we do. All the web pages are essentially something that we want to continually update as we move forward. And we appreciate Dunn County IT support in helping us set up those web pages. DEC training for new staff. So we previously had a training that was still relevant and comprehensive. We recorded it. So we redeployed that training back out to the agencies and really encourage new staff, or if it's been a while since you've had the training on DEC, to incorporate that into staff training. That it's such a collaborative effort to really serve those children and those families, and everyone has a role to play, and that training does a nice job really outlining all the different roles that agencies and different staff play. And then we revised the DEC MOU, just a couple modifications, but that'll be circling back around for signatures. Just did a couple of minor changes, but really just want to recommit agency leaders and staff to our commitment to working together with DEC. So we really want to continue moving most of these goals to 2021. We do have new leadership, and as we know with the work groups, goals and activities can change, but overall it's working together, it's strengthening the collaboration that we have with our partners, and really educating our community on what they can do to make a difference for drug endangered children. Andrea, anything that you'd like to add on the DEC work group piece, just being the new chair of that group?
I think it's a really, it's probably my favorite work group, because in my line of work, we devote so much time and resources to the parents And this is more trying to help the kids who are the victims in these cases. And so I think it's a nice work group to have, which is a little different than our focus, you know, in family treatment court, and treatment court is helping those addicted. And so I think it's a really good work group, and I'm excited moving forward.
Thank you. And Katie, I'm sorry, I should have asked you if you wanted to add anything to the data work group portion.
Nope, I think you're good to go, Sarah. Thanks.
All right, sorry about that. And Brenna's not here with us today. All right, EBDM. So this is our evidence-based decision-making work group. So this is the TAD and TAD grant, or the top program oversight. That's part of the role. In 2020, led by Chief Atkinson, really wanted to develop that comprehensive juvenile harm reduction plan. That's been accomplished. It's been more challenging finding the funding to actually get the full plan operational across the county. But the plan has been developed and really looked at all the different programs for juveniles and what's effective, and the Botvan life skills really rose to the top of that list as far as how can we reduce juvenile crime, delinquency, drug abuse. So we've identified some good programming. It's just more challenging as far as getting the funding to really get the staff trained, not only within the city, but across the county. But that's been an accomplishment. We also re-examined the proxy tool, the usage of it, and the potential for validation. So really kind of got to the looking it over. It's been an effective tool. It's something that we want to encourage law enforcement to really understand why we're using it and all the different ways that we're using it. So one of the goals, the activity goal, was to develop a law enforcement training video on the proxy tool, as well as the pre-charge diversion program. So those two items we're still need to accomplish as far as the educational portion of those. We did, the validation of the proxy, that's where we examined it, but it really becomes cost prohibitive if we're looking at validating it to true validation. The reentry, or excuse me, we wanted to reevaluate the pre-charge program, the utilization of it, and the necessity of it. So we were able to have some side meetings of our EBDM work group. We expanded the list of charges for the pre-charge program. We really wanted to make it more user-friendly, so to speak, for our law enforcement to make those direct referrals to the pre-charge diversion program. So that's more of that officer-led diversion, really empower officers to make that decision and be supported through the system and that decision. So we actually expanded the pre-charge diversion program. And as I mentioned, we're looking to develop, now that Brad is in place as the new deferred prosecution coordinator, we can get him on camera for a nice video. So more to come on that. And then the fifth, explore evidence-based practices and programs based on our local needs. Again, this is how that local data is really important to inform our leaders and stakeholders on different areas for us to improve. So this really is the home for the evidence-based practices and decision-making. Chief, anything you'd like to add?
Only that the EBDM work group, I think, is just a great group because it allows for the opportunity to really work with others and then try to find kind of programs or methodologies that are proven to work and then actually implement them in our communities. So if anybody is really interested in trying to find proactive type criminal justice programs, initiatives, or projects, the EBDM work group is a great group to be a part of.
Thank you. And so that group Chair Atkinson has asked for a reprieve in his leadership, and I think it's well deserved. He's been past chair of our CJCC and of many work groups, so he has earned the status to take a break from chairing this year. So as you previously approved, Jim Tripp will be our new EBDM work group chair. And we recommend that we're we want to continue the TAD oversight. That's an expectation, and the explore the evidence-based practices and programs. That's an expectation of that work group. But largely, a lot of it can come out of the chair's prerogative as far as how he'd like to lead the work group, because we really are examining data and challenges across the system, and then looking for some solutions to make recommendations. All right, moving along. We've got 6 minutes. I'm going to plow through this. Stepping Up work group. So that's the work group really focused on reducing the incarcerations for mental health and substance use. Chris Corpola's led that group up. We have certainly accomplished quite a bit this year. We've had that sequential intercept mapping. We focused on some education and training this year. That's the oversight committee for a reentry project. We did some advocacy for medication-assisted treatment in jail, and we attempted to implement the brief jail mental health screener. That is one that we almost withdrawn that as a goal, just because of the feasibility and the challenges with that, and really the purpose, the larger purpose of that. So the Stepping Up work group for 2021, we had a chance to really get the input of that group. And one of the major outcomes of our sequential intercept mapping was really to identify the gaps and areas for improvement. And it was the enhancing crisis options and housing were the two priorities that came out of that group. So our Stepping Up work group is for 2021 really looking to focus on those two areas of enhancing crisis options and housing, and then continuing the oversight of our reentry, and certainly the education and training opportunities. Chris, anything that you'd like to add to Stepping Up?
Nope, I think you're good.
Okay. And then also under Chris Corpola's chairpersonship is the oversight of our Family Treatment Court Oversight and Planning group and our Treatment Court Advisory groups. So those are really designed to provide some oversight to those different programs, provide some opportunities for training, and really garner that community support for the programs, not only stakeholders, but the community support as well. So as our previous conversation, we're looking to meld those two work groups together. We need to go back to the executive to develop the mission statement, make a chair recommendation to move forward. So we're going to bring that back for the April meeting. Essentially, we're looking, they've got similar focuses, similar objectives. So we're really just looking to blend those two groups. So for overarching, what we're looking for, and this came out of our executive, was really to continue these same goals, plus add on a OWI court. Not that we would accomplish the OWI court, but that we're continuing to look into the establishment of an OWI court, the need, the funding, the structure, the challenges, the resources, different things for perhaps down the road. We've got a lot of changes in 2021. We've got a full court calendar with things backed up from 2020. We've got new judges coming on board. We've got new staff coming on board. So we really wanted to stay the course with our goals and really continue to refine what we're doing, hone what we're doing, shore up some of the programs that we have up and running, and perhaps reduce some of the meetings by combining some of the work group goals. So at this point, I'm going to stop talking and turn it over to Chris.
All right, thank you, Sarah, for that review. So in light of that, I would ask for someone to make a motion to approve those 2021 council and work group goals.
I'll motion.
Okay, Carrie Eklund, second.
Second.
The sheriff. Any discussion about those or questions for Sarah? Hearing nothing, I will, all those in favor of approving those as the goals for 2021 signify by saying aye.
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 All right, and opposed, same sign. And that motion carries. All right, item 8 is a consideration of the work group reports. You have a written report in the packet that was provided that gives you an update on the work groups, as well as Sarah's just recent reiteration of what their focus have been. And so are there any additional questions for Sarah regarding any of the chairs regarding those work groups? All right, absent that, I think we're okay. And we're to the next meeting date, which will be April 8th of 2021 at 4 o'clock. Anything else for the good of the group? Otherwise, we are adjourned.